So it's the same day. I am sitting outside now trying to get myself in a better mood, trying to cope better. I can't explain this feeling. I wish I could so that others could understand. It's literally just bleh. It is like an overwhelmed weight mentally. So much so that you can't get up and move. Walking from my bed to the front porch is even hard. So I had a sweet friend on Facebook, actually YouTube. One comment said maybe I was allergic to the paint. And you know what? That might be true. I started going downhill a lot faster as soon as we started painting. And whether it is I'm allergic to the paint or the stress and anxiety of it all has thrown me into another type of relapse. This one feels more like a fibromyalgia relapse instead of a lupus relapse. Because this is more painful connective tissue in my body. Think if you had the flu or when you have a fever, just those body aches that's just constant all over from head to toe. And then the depression, just the overwhelming sadness and anger all the time, mood swings. Anyway, moving past that, I wanted to give you an update on what we've been talking about the trip. Our medical mission. We have been talking about going, what kind of experience do we want to have on this trip? What that means is, do we want to spend a fortune on a motorhome where we are comfortable and it's basically our home and we just travel around and do our thing, like send the kids to school wherever we are for 13 weeks and then move on? Or do we want to have it be more about the experience? Like, do we want to say go smaller on a motorhome or RV? It has to be a drivable one. We cannot do a truck. So a fifth wheel and a trailer type motorhome are just completely out. There's no possibility of us doing those. So that leaves us with a driving motorhome, either a type A, which is the giant bus looking motorhomes, which you can do like a 32 foot and it's around $140,000, or you can go up to like $400,000 motorhomes. So it just depends on what experience you're wanting. After this year, we plan on keeping whatever we buy and renting it out for short periods of time once we have a place to live. We don't know if we want to build. We don't know if we want a little cabin up in the mountains. I mean, that's what I want. But I have to be understanding of my family. And today I started talking to the kids. I'm like, what kind of experience do you want? Do you want us to do a smaller motorhome where we are going to more national parks and we can camp inside of national parks with a smaller motorhome? Granted, that's expensive, but if you do smaller, you can save a lot more money, and then you can do like Airbnbs or short-term rentals in the different towns. And then you have the motorhome and a very small condo or rental with cool property. And it's not so much that you have a ton more space with a rental, but it's like you have the shower, you have the bathroom, you have the home base for cooking and things like that. And what we kind of decided is that that's more of the experience we want, because we're doing this medical mission for a couple of reasons, but one of the reasons is that we want to figure out where we want to live long term. So we want to experience housing in these different areas. So I'm a small girl. I want a small home that is just big enough that kind of pushes you to get outside more and do more outside. And I want, personally, these are my things, is that I want to be able to do things outside. And I want less humidity and less allergies. And because the older I get, the worse my health gets. So we're looking for dry, mountainous, outside activity oriented My favorite place that I'd really love to go back to is Durango, Colorado. But I don't know that that is feasible long term, because apparently everybody's moving to Durango. Housing costs are so high right now. Land costs are so high. And it's 30 minutes outside of my favorite ski resort because I work there. And I really want that experience for my children at least once. So my goal is to do smaller motorhome, maybe even a Class C, which is on a truck chassis instead of a bus chassis. So I would rather go small and rent little places along the way so that we have both the motorhome and a little place. Maybe not all the time, like maybe 1 week in a place and then 2 weeks in the motorhome, or 3 weeks in a place and a week in the motorhome. I don't know what kind of experience that will give our family, and I need to do the research about where we're going and what we're doing. But my goal through this entire process is to give the kids the experience socially in different situations and religiously and community. And then also to figure out where it is, what type of housing we actually want. Do we want a cabin in the woods? Do we want up in the mountains, small, more, are we going to be outdoor oriented, like mountain biking, snowboarding, skiing, all of those things, which I love and which my kids have not really experienced yet, but I think that they will absolutely fall in love with once they have the experience. So I'm an adventure freak. I have broken almost every bone in my body. I've broken a lot of things. I've had a lot of surgeries. Half of it is medical. Half of it is my adventures. I think life is more about experiences than about stuff. That's what I value, is experiences, people, and adventure. I mean, I'm not into breaking my body anymore and doing stupid things. Like, I wouldn't hesitate to jump off that cliff if I know how to do it or not. I mean, when I moved to a ski resort, I had a friend, wasn't even a friend yet. I just moved there 3 days before, never put on a ski or snowboard in my life. And it had just snowed, so a bunch of locals that knew my brother, who had already been living there, were driving up the mountain and said, "Hey, who wants to snowboard?" I'm like, "I will. I've never done it before, but I'll try." It was a horrible experience. You really need to know what you're doing on ice-covered mountainside. But, I mean, I'm the person that jumps in with 2 feet. And I figured my life's limited anyway with medical stuff. Why limit it with adventure? Now, suffering the pain and the agony of all of those broken bones and surgeries and pins and metal in my body, but I'm still about the experience. But now I'm into pushing my kids and my husband into those experiences, and I am so happy to see the joy and the love on their face as they do them. So that's what I'm pushing for. I asked my kids today what kind of experiences they wanted, and they said that they're all about doing stuff. They don't want to buy a motorhome that they spend all their time in. They want to go and adventure. And so I have one kid that does not. I have one kid that doesn't want to move, period, and change anything in his life, but that's because he is Ammon, and he is an introvert, and he is happy doing his thing. He would be happy being homeschooled and living in a 1-room apartment with one of us parents. But that's not reality, and I have to push them. It's sprinkling, and the sun's out. Look how pretty this is. Can you see the rain? I'm sure there's a rainbow somewhere. I do love Kentucky. It is gorgeous here, but the older I get, the worse it is on my body and my health. So I think we're at our limit with Kentucky. The humid, allergy-ridden states are probably going to be off of our long-term stay list, just simply for my health and for my longevity on life. Yeah, so that's the deal.